Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Enlighten Up podcast. I'm really excited to introduce you to a brand new guest to the show. His name is Rafael Garcia, and he is a near-death experiencer, quantum healer, and ascension coach. He was a panelist at this year's INDS conference in Phoenix, Arizona, where he was speaking about reincarnation, multidimensionality, and the 12 dimensions, which that's another thing we got to talk about in a bit. In 2004, he had his near-death experience followed by multiple spiritual transformative experiences. He teaches on reincarnation, quantum jumping, the matrix codes, and the 12 dimensions in the future of Earth through what he calls Project Utopia 2025, which is just around the corner. During his NDE, he was taken to the Akashic Library, where the record keepers gave him the Book of Earth in the form of a holographic projection. The book revealed the divine plan of Earth, and he was shown a very utopic future for humanity where eventually we will have global peace. This revelation compelled him to co-create Project Utopia 2025 with his wife, Linda, and it aims to inspire a vision of a prosperous future where humanity thrives as a collective. I am so excited to have you here on the show, Rafael. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to share here.
I kind of just want to jump right into the good stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So one of the things that I really love to talk about is how, like, first of all, let's just jump straight into your NDE. Because I know that we're going to get into some other stuff for sure. But this NDE where you were taken to the Akashic Library and shown a book in the form of a holographic projection. So what were you, first, like, just kind of before we get into your NDE, how were you spiritually? Were you very open-minded already? Were you closed off? Like, where were you at?
Yeah, well, basically, my whole life I've been able to see spirits. So since I was like 13, so I kind of was already familiar with this, and it kind of ran in my dad's family side of the family, where they're Native Americans from Mexico, and we were all used to talking about spirits. So I kind of was already with me.
Oh, 1 second here.
And then in 2004, that's when I had NDE. Now the way I like to more like explain it, because it wasn't like a clinical death experience with the death trauma. I wasn't in any circumstance like that. It was just I was just basically, I saw the light, a portal came in, and then it's the light. I always like to say, like, it was like a portal into the fourth dimension, to the next dimensions, and it was, again, for the way I experienced it, it was more like my initiation of my awakening, basically. So then basically this initiation takes you to this journey of understanding more the different dimensions. So when I went into that portal, I saw all my family members that had already passed away. They were on the other side. And then from there, once I greeted them for a little bit, they would say, okay, well, now you have to go to this chamber. And once I went in, so then I knew, like, okay, I have to go to this chamber. So then I went into the chamber. And as I went into the chamber, I met the 12 Council of Light beings, like the Council of Light, but I showed the way that I saw them. There were 12 like beings. They're like angelic beings. And then like they were like, welcome. And then that's when they showed me my life review. Now, as they showed me my life review, I came to understand that they told me that basically the whole thing that we keep, and then they showed me the cycle of reincarnation there. And then they showed me that I still had 6 lifetimes more to finish the cycle. And then they told me that basically we'd keep coming back, incarnating over and over and over, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, like thousands of lifetimes, um, until we master the universal lessons. Now, the universal lessons basically are like virtues that we're here to learn. So, like, unconditional love, compassion, integrity, honesty, transparency, forgiveness, letting go, surrender, letting go of fear, all these lessons that we're here to master. And I came to understand that each one of those beings represented like one of the different, like one of the virtues. So, for example, they show me in this holographic projection of the life review, they show me, and it was like a live being alive, going back to that space where, and I was witnessing, myself like in the movie, and then I was showing how I was helping this lady across the street, this old lady across the street, for example, and then as I did that, one of the beings lit up and said, "This is like you're doing, compassion or kindness." And this is what you were doing. So then basically we're here to master all these lessons, and it's all recorded in our soul. I saw my soul blueprint, and it was like holographic DNA print that records all your life lessons, that records all your progress, how well you have been mastering the lessons. So I came to understand basically that ultimately we're here to master all the lessons. And then after that, they show me what comes actually right there when they show me all my lifetimes. They show me what comes next after we graduate from the cycle of reincarnation, which they told me, once you finish the cycle of reincarnation, I came to understand. They show me what it's like. So then I was able to become one with my higher self, and then I became like basically what we down here in 3D call ascended masters, which I'm not there yet, but they showed me kind of like what it will be like. And then they told me, we want to show you what it's like once you finish the cycle, so you can tell the world. And then basically what I saw was like, once we finish the cycle of reincarnation, you became this one with your higher self. But then when that happened, the three beings of light came, and they told me that, I saw them as my parents. And they were like really advanced beings, like 9, 10 dimensional beings. And then they came and they congratulated me. And then all of a sudden, I felt like I was graduating from kindergarten as an ascended master. But it's like, I'm just graduating from kindergarten. And then they told me, you done great. Now, there's other schools. So as we stepped out of that chamber, I came to understand that chamber was our universe. And then they told me there's other universes or other schools that you can go to now. And, so then one of those universes was like the universe, like the avatar universe, where then you incarnate as like more of a fifth dimensional being, and throughout many other planets with more advanced abilities like telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation, all these other abilities, and with more advanced civilizations that you're dealing with different star systems and different things. So that was that one universe, one school, and then there was another universe or another school where you actually became like an Akashic record keeper. That was another universe. That was a school. There are universes or schools, and then there was another universe where you became a creator of planets, stars, galaxies, universes, and stuff. So I saw that there was other schools basically. So once we finish the cycle of reincarnation, it's like basically it's graduating from kindergarten, and then we go to these other schools, and then
so Earth is kind of like a university, so to speak, for to master reincarnation.
Exactly. Yes. That's all it is a school. Like Earth here is just a holographic projection. That our soul has sent these avatars to basically just to go to school. This is a school. We're all here to learn and master the lessons. That's the ultimate. What my understanding was like that's when you become an ascended master. Basically once you have mastered these lessons, once you completely are in that state of higher frequency of unconditional love, when you have finally released all fears, all angers, all negative emotions, once you're able to forgive, to surrender, all these things, once you're able to let go of and master all those lessons, that's when you are able to then graduate from this school, so I realized that it was such an incredible gift that we were given this opportunity just to come to school and to learn all these, lessons and stuff. So, so that was like, as far as that, the life review, that was basically, and then at that point too, I came to understand basically that, in that point when I was showing my life review, I understood that all along, I'm like, oh my God, that was just a dream. like this life had been just a dream, or an illusion or a simulation. So that was one of the things too that I came to understand at that point, like, in that experience, was like, oh, okay, now I understand what a lot of the teachings that they say is the Maya and all this is delusion. It's like, yeah, it's just a dream, or in a simulation, right? We're in a simulation, like in the movie The Matrix. And
Yes, yes. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily a simulation, but because I don't know if that's the exactly correct, but I think that's the closest thing we have to understanding, how it operates. Because I was during an ayahuasca ceremony, almost a year ago to this date now. No, maybe a year and a half. I exited the Matrix, and I was reminded that there are certain programs you go in with on purpose to learn certain things, and uh, I literally broke the fourth wall, and I was like, oh my God, there really is just this fourth wall that we kind of create, but it's also, in essence, it's real in the sense that we are learning things, we are taking things with us, even though it's that's why I don't think it's simulation, so to speak. But I don't know what else we have to really kind of liken it to. But it's very interesting how it does, in a way, our dreams that we have when we're sleeping are no different than when we're awake.
yeah, I mean, I've also I have seen the simulate. I mean, it's after my NDE. I mean, we can go further with NDE, but later on, I started having many spiritual transformative experiences, and in these experiences, when out of body experiences, astral projection, time travel, quantum jumping. I've quantum jumped to parallel universes or parallel lives. And but then I also have seen that's something, later on through the experiences, I was able to see all the, like, I was walking, kind of like in the movie The Matrix. I was walking, and then all of a sudden, the whole, my whole landscape is just it disappeared, and then it turned into codes, into symbols, like in the simulation in The Matrix. And I was like, wow, like, oh my God, this is crazy. So for me, at that point, I came to understand, like, oh yeah, man, we're in a simulation, like literally, like full of codes, and so I remember from that one experience that, and I had it a couple times where, the whole simulation just kind of like turned into these codes everywhere. And then, and so at that point, I'm like, wow, really are in a simulation. This is like no joke. And then another time too, when I was living in England, I used to live in Cambridge. And then I took the underground. I was in London, and as I'm taking the underground going down, I'm like late at nighttime, and I was by myself. There was nobody there. And as I'm going down the escalators, all of a sudden a giant portal opened up. And then as this portal opened up, I'm able to basically time travel into the future. And then I see that there's like, I'm in the underground in London, and then all of a sudden there's like, I see like there's holograms, and then they're like, get your apartment in Mars, or, go, University of Mars, like, go get your apartment at the moon. Like, we're like living in all these different planets. And then, and I'm seeing all these holograms. And then all of a sudden, so I'm like, okay, and I've time traveled a lot throughout my life. So I'm quite used to time traveling. And then, so I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just time travel into the future. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in the simulation, and again, it was just a simulation, because the simulation kind of like I saw, and then I saw the coast, and then it opened up a portal for me to see the future. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this person, I was taking the underground, and then out of nowhere, this simulation created a human, and this other human was coming up the escalators, and he was wearing a hoodie. And then all of a sudden, I went into his body, and then I was like, oh my God. And then I took off the hoodie. And then I looked, and then I saw Rafael, and I realized that was me in the future lifetime. That was me in the future lifetime, in the future, in the timeline. And then I just kind of smile, and then I went into Rafael, and then he just smiled, and then the whole hologram disappeared, the whole simulation. So, again, for me, like, I was just like, oh my God, another experience where it's like, yeah, this is all a simulation. So that was another experience for me personally. Of course, it was my own personal experiences. And then too, I think that one of the things is like seeing the codes. The way I saw the codes was like the codes like in the Matrix. So I've seen the codes in the simulation, And then I've seen the codes inside me. Like I've seen all those codes, like, and the codes look a lot like basically the same, like in the Matrix, and those kind of like Chinese symbols. And
Yes,
then
I've seen them.
I've seen all those symbols inside me. So
Hmm.
like running everywhere.
Hmm.
And then I've seen him in nature and all the trees is running everywhere. So it's like, for me, like, oh yeah, we're in a simulation. And then also I've seen like the earth grids, like the Lee lines as well. I've seen those, and then I know how their codes are running all over. And then also I've seen it because I also explore the different dimensions, and in the dimensions, I went to explore all 12 dimensions, and in the first dimension I went into the quantum realm. And as I went into the quantum realm, I became the atom. And as I became the atom, I basically, it was really incredible because I said, became the atom. I'm at the center of the atom. I'm the atom. And then all they say 99% is empty space around the atom. It's not empty. It's full of symbols. All
Hmm.
the symbols, like in the Matrix,
Yes.
thousands and thousands of symbols are flying all over the atom.
No,
So that's for me, it's
yeah.
like, wow, dude, we are in a simulation 100%. For me,
So
like,
it's interesting that you draw that conclusion based off of seeing all these symbols and stuff because I've seen them myself, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. Like that's not what I'm trying to project at all. I just love to explore this possibility. I think one of the reasons why I don't um I don't really resonate with the simulation is not because I don't think it's true. Like I think there's tons of programs and I think there's all these creation codes and all of that. But the way a lot of people relate to simulation is that it's not real. And I do believe that all of this is real and it's not real at the same time. And so like
yes, at the same time.
and so like
Yes.
that's why I'm a little I waffle a little bit on that idea of a simulation only because I don't want people to think like none of this exists or isn't real because it's just a video game, so to speak. And at the same time, I can recognize it's very similar to a video game. Like I see all of the similarities and the parallels. But like with you, I've seen all these codes too. So I've seen them like especially all around me when I either get very deep into meditation or I'm using plant medicine like ayahuasca or mushrooms. I have seen the entire field around me filled with different colored symbols and they light up, they change colors and all of that kind of stuff. And I've seen all of that and that there is no empty space at all. It's just empty to the eye that doesn't want to see yet or isn't ready to see yet. So it's those codes are to me, I don't necessarily only relate them to this idea of a simulation, but I see them more as like ingredients in a
Yeah.
recipe that like ingredients of what you're creating and pulling towards you and wanting to manifest or work with. So it's kind like again, I guess that's why they call them creation codes. Um, but at the same time, I can also see what you're talking about. And again, I want to make it very clear. I am not like saying that what you're saying is wrong. It's just I think it's that and more.
And the experience is real, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you're here, we're here, you have a life or whatever's going. I'm not saying like it's trying to say like on one side it's a simulation, it's a dream, but on the other hand, it still was created to experience. So at the end of the day, it is real, right? At least in this dimension, this reality.
Yeah, yeah.
Once you start stepping out the reality, then you start seeing it from a different perspective. Like, oh, that was all a dream or a video game. But once you're in it, it's real.
Yes.
It's like it's really hard to explain or to grasp. But I think it's both. It's not that it's not like, oh no, it's just a dream. It's not real. Like no, no, no. It's both. It's a
Well, and
dream
that's
and
what
it's
we
real.
learn in this reality is that duality. I think that's why we're in this dualistic kind
Exactly.
of reality, so that we can see both and know that both can exist at the same time.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
the yin and the yang, the light and the dark. It's
Hmm.
like it's just the division or the contrast, right? So then at the end, it's real. I don't want people to go, oh yeah, it's not. But at the end, it's like somehow as you start having these experiences, you
It's
start seeing
not
it from a
what
different
we
lens.
thought. It's not what we thought. Like we just like think, oh, like I'm just born into this world and this world is just totally just a world and all that. Like you start to realize, oh no, 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 there's like bigger things going on at play here, why this is all working out the way it is. So I have a ton of questions for you. And I don't know where I want to start, but let's kind of go back to so when you talked about the book of Earth in a form of a holographic projection. Was that the sense of like you were talking about, okay, the university of reincarnation is Earth? Is that what you were understanding from that holographic projection, or was there more to that that you haven't discussed?
Oh yeah, okay. So then, yeah. So when I went to the Akashic Record Library, right? And then in the Akashic Records, I saw all these record keepers, and then as I saw these record keepers, there were like souls from all over the universe, all different planets. They were all there like checking out their records and everything, and they were in groups by themselves. There were like rooms, there were tables, there were like benches, and everybody's kind of doing their own thing. There was a couple in the groups, but mostly they were just kind of being guided to look at the records. And then all of a sudden, I was just standing. I mean, I was just in awe, like looking at all the. And then one of the record keepers, like which are really tall beings, high beings, and he just grabbed one of the books and he just came over and he kind of just gave it to me, and I was just like, whoa, okay. And then as I looked at the book, it was just like it's a holographic book, and I saw the Earth, and then I saw symbols in the Earth, and it was like the future of Earth, like that was kind of like basically the meaning of it. And then as I kind of like opened this kind of like transparent holographic book, as I opened it, I saw like a projection, like a movie, and a holographic projection of the future of Earth, like I basically saw the whole divine plan of Earth. And then I saw basically that the systems were about to collapse right now. So everything that's going on right now with politics and everything, it's part of the divine plan. Basically, the things that we're ascending, from 3D to 4D, like as a collective. Now, as we're entering the fourth dimension as a collective, and that's a realm or a new game, because these are like games, like again, like, as you start having these experiences, you start seeing it all like games. Well, every dimension, every realm is a game. So as we're entering this new game, it's a new game, right? It's a new video game or a new level. In this new level of the fourth dimension, that's a realm of transparency, like complete transparency. So everything that's been hiding with corruption, that's going to be about to, come out, because we're entering this new realm. So it's transparency, integrity, right? And then compassion or unity consciousness. So that's where we are heading. So that's why as we're entering this fourth dimension, I saw the collapses of all the systems that were not based on those pillars. Anything outside of those pillars are basically going to collapse. They're doomed to collapse, right? Because if there's corruption, if there's, hate, and if there's all for wars, and it's all for corporations making money, banking, all these systems are going to collapse basically, because they're not based on those pillars, right? So then I saw the collapse of the systems. I saw a lot of trials. It's going to be like the age of trials coming.
The age
So
of
there's going to be a lot of
trials?
trials. I'm sorry?
Did you say the age of trials?
Yeah, the age of trials is about to begin. Yeah, 2025.
2025 is when it begins?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, like I can totally see that. And because well, one, we know what's going on with the P. Diddy files and all of that, but given I know not everyone is excited about the current the upcoming election cycle, like now that, well, I should say the government that's going in. But I do believe that government is going to bring forth a lot of disclosure of
Yes.
things that have been hidden behind. And the one
Mm-hmm.
thing I would like to offer everyone, because this is so true, I've seen it true in my own life, and maybe you can speak to it yourself, is that like even this idea of utopia, right, coming our way, how we actually get there doesn't always come in the package or along the path that we think it should. And so oftentimes getting to a place of this idea of utopia comes with a path that is very difficult and uncomfortable for many of us. We have to be willing to see things that we don't want to see. If we're going to get disclosure and transparency, like you're talking about in the fourth dimension, we have to see that transparency within ourselves. And all of us have blind spots, no matter how far along in your journey you are, we all have our own blind spots. And so, with considering, okay, here's what I'd like to know. You talk about Project Utopia 2025. What is it specifically about 2025 that is so different from all the years before it?
Well, basically, like I say, I think that's when things are going to start coming out, the revelations, that as far as like the 2025 is just going to be the lands, like the beginning of the end
Yes.
of the or of basically the 3D. So I mean, this is a pivotal point where everything is going to come out, with the governments and the truth and the corruption and and since it's all connected, it's all it's going to be a domino effect. So then basically it'll be all the cleansing within the governments, institutions, and banks and corporations and all this stuff, so that we can move forward, right? So like once it's able that all those things come out, then that whatever things in the government that they've done and all this stuff, then that thing comes out, then that's when the new systems can be in place, integrated, right?
Hmm.
And the collective will demand a new system because everybody's going to be in awe, like, oh my God, really? The governments did that, or we're doing
That's
that,
what
and
I've seen too, is that next
Mhm.
year is going to be, again, I don't think it's all going to happen one year, but there's definitely going to be the beginning of the dominoes, I guess, starting to fall. With the with this, can you go into a little bit more detail of what you know of the age of trials? Like what have you seen, or maybe it hasn't been specifics, maybe it has, I don't know, but what have you seen about the age of trials?
I mean, I saw that basically there's going to be so many trials and for politicians and I don't know, people in the banking industry, people in different industries, and pharmaceutical, and I don't know, just all the
Yeah.
industries. Like I just saw that basically the truth was going to come out. And the
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to call things out, but maybe 9/11, who knows? The COVID, like the truth is going to come out of all that stuff.
It's interesting
And
you say that because I was shown I had a dream in I want to say mid-October-ish, and most of my audience already knows this. But I was shown a city. I was in a city with a girlfriend, and I was shown the energetic imprint of RFK Jr.'s face, side profile, and Trump's side profile in the kind of just in the city energetically imprinted. And all these buildings started collapsing and dust kind of coming up. And I was shown, and what I understood from the dream that was kind of communicated to me is that if he had won the election, that there would be an event that would cause it would be some kind of it would have the energetics of 9/11. That doesn't mean there would be like buildings crumbling or anything like that. But it had the energetics of 9/11, and that in the end, although it might be hard at first, it was going to empower the people with a lot of truth. And I couldn't shake it, but the city to me felt like Dallas. And so when I was like, well, why am I seeing RFK? And so Junior there. And so I think that given that Trump has made it known that he's going to disclose the JFK files as soon as he gets into office, I think that might be one of the dominoes that's going
yes.
to start to
Mhm.
awaken people and see exactly how corrupt, especially like the black entities within the government are really behind so many things that have been blamed on individuals or other countries or all that other stuff.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I saw, I mean, and then I mean, so yeah, I mean, I was like, I was also able to see like all the like Snowden coming back from Russia, and
Oh,
he
really?
becoming like a hero for like whistleblowers, and like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of that movement as well, for whistleblowers to tell the truth. And
Yeah, I think this is the reckoning.
yeah,
The beginning, like it's a big reckoning that's coming forward. And I think that all of us, I don't think any of us are going to escape being shocked. Just no matter how much you think you know, no matter how many conspiracy holes you think you've gone down, I just don't think any of us are going to escape it. And we've got to understand and have compassion. I think that's another, like you said, the compassion is such an important quality to that fourth dimension. Have compassion for everyone, including yourself, of what we're all going to be going through, because it's never easy to see the truth when you've always believed it to be something different.
yeah, exactly. It's a revolution of truth now, right? I mean, it's the disclosures and then again, it's like. But that's a good thing. That's going to be the healing. And it's like anything, right? If you've gone through some hardships in life, you're working all that out. And it's once you heal it, then you can move forward, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
once we're able to heal from this, then I saw basically after, all of these things, as the revelations and all these things um, happen. I saw then basically, then there's going to be new institutions being created because a lot of FBI, CIA, all those things, all those institutions are going to be gone. And then there'll be new institutions being created. And then with technology, with blockchain and all this technology, AI and all this stuff is going to create a system of transparency. So then we're going to create a new systems of, the governments and then there's going to be a universal income, like that's going to be for everyone. There's, instead of putting all the money in military, all the money is going to go into to the people, to the infrastructure of the people. And then I saw all the unions being created. The American Union, I saw being created, Canada, US, Mexico, and then eventually all America will become a union. And then I saw like in Native American woman president, which I think will be soon within, well, I don't know, within the next 10, 15 years or 20 years maybe, but that, basically they're going to create the unions, the American Union, and they're going to create the African Union, the Asian Union, the Arabic Union. They'll create all these unions like their European Union. And there with no more borders, one, currency, all, helping all the infrastructure of all the third world countries. And then eventually no more borders, or eventually no more poverty, eventually world peace. And then I saw this institution being created too, which, okay, so then, because of after seeing this book and, this projection of the future Earth, I saw that finally we would reach utopia, right? And that's why I'm creating with my wife, Linda, we're creating basically, we were talking about this, I tell her about my experience, we're talking about my experiences, what I saw. And she's like, okay, maybe we need to create a book about what you saw, like in a way, like, so we're calling it, or our project, we're calling it Project Utopia 2025. And then again, our idea is to just to basically, kind of like create the system of the future where, you have a new system in politics, a new system in economics, a new system in education, a new system for the working force, for healthcare. So just basically kind of like where are we going to go in the future, like where we're heading to. And that's kind of like, and that's why I wrote this, we're putting together this book and we're putting together this website, and we want to do webinars and all this stuff as well. So it's just for us to, to kind of like guide, humanity towards what can be, where could be actually, where could be as a collective, if we can create a better system together, that way humanity will thrive, right?
Mm-hmm.
With this kind of new systems, so that's why too I'm creating this. I'm writing a book about what I saw in the Akashic Records, and then I'm writing this we're creating this project which is called Project Utopia 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And then and yeah, so our goal is to just put out the different ideas of different projects and kind of like get everybody on board to have to help everybody understand that like that, yeah, I mean at the end, like you say, the systems are going to collapse, but it's okay, that basically that's how we can create a new system, right? Like once the systems collapses, then we can then create a new system and stuff. So I think that's like the whole thing. But yeah, that was, that's basically what I saw, that basically that it ultimately will reach this utopia where there's no more borders, no more, no more poverty, and this, complete abundance for everyone. And then, even when I saw that at the end of when we reach utopia, like that's like the goal, of course, this for the collective. And then even when we reach that point, it's not even the end. It's kind of like when I saw that finishing the cycle of reincarnation is not even the end. There's other universes. So it's the same thing for the collective. Once we reach utopia, that's not even the end. That's like, then that's when we become a part of the Galactic Federation, or they're finally, these guys are ready, finally they're graduating from kindergarten. Okay, now they're part of and that's when, there's going to be civilizations from all over the galaxy or the universe or parallel universes coming in. I mean, it'll be more of forget even other galaxies, it's other universes, we'll be communicating with different civilizations from different universes and galaxies and stuff. So that's, once we reach utopia, then it's like, okay, we're ready for the next level.
One of the things I think is important to also kind of just discuss while we're talking about that idea of like, yeah, okay, we're kind of graduating from kindergarten in a way, relatively speaking to like, say, the Galactic Federation. Also understand though that many of us have come from these much higher systems, but had to come through and graduate through a very difficult process to help others break free of the reincarnation cycle. And so this is something that isn't an easy. As much as it's maybe kindergarten, it's also not very easy at all. To kind of move through the different layers that is offered in this particular University of Earth. One of the things I want to ask you about is, okay, first of all, let's go back to the DNA recording. Okay, when you saw your DNA, kind of like this holographic thing, because I've seen in one of my very first mushroom journey, I saw my DNA as well, and I was shown like a holographic image of it spinning, but within, I didn't necessarily see the codes because I don't think that was what I was meant to see. I just saw all of the faces of my ancestors imprinted in my DNA. For you, you saw it's like almost like it's a recording of all our lessons and what we've completed, what we haven't completed, and all of that. And that you were seeing, like, what did you see? Were you kind of like, oh, wow, like I'm already there? Or were you like, oh, wow, I still have a far way to go? Like, what was your impression?
Yeah, I mean, I still have a while to go too. But yeah, I mean, basically, it's like, yeah, I mean, I came to understand life lessons, and that's why my website is called Decoding Life Lessons. And, where I also teach webinars about all this stuff about the soul blueprint, about time travel, about the 12 dimensions, but then also about the lessons, right? Decoding life lessons. And then, so then as you're able to, I mean, ultimately, I want to create a lot, different apps. So, man, I'm looking for app developers out. Is there anybody out? Reach out to me because there's so many apps I want to create. But anyway, I want to create like an app, or just think of it like a holographic projection where you can create like a little map of, where you can say, okay, in my soul blueprint, because this I saw like just a holographic projection, and then I saw how it was like basically, like your learn lessons, your master, that you master them, and the ones that you still need to work on, something like that, and then it's kind of like bullet points, like okay, or whatever, like this compassion, integrity, like okay, like it's kind of like, and I'm pretty good at those. I got those mastered pretty well, and then so it was like, and then the ones that I still needed to work on, was still things like everyone. There's no exception, with the letting go, the non-judgment, the forgiveness, surrender. I think those are the hard ones for everyone, for all of us. I mean, there's no exception. So then it was like, okay, well, you still need to basically try to polish those. So ultimately, that's just the way. And then that's the healing part, right? The more we decode it, for me, it's like, okay, well, what situations are you going into in your life right now? Like, what hardships or difficulties are you going through? Like, okay, well, having this happen with my parents, or with my spouse, or with my whatever, my siblings, or work, whatever it is that we're, it's like, okay, well. Okay, so because we need to actually ultimately, like, I think the ultimate lesson or hardest one to be is to letting go, right? And letting go of fears, and letting go of things that, things that people hurt you or whatever, or people that left our life, whatever. That's the letting go of the attachments. That's where I came to understand that it's letting go of attachments. Like that's the ultimate lesson. Because when we get attached to, to feelings and to emotions and to people and to things and to experiences. So as we're able to let go, from those experiences, then and not be attached to them, that's how we get liberated, or that's how we are able to heal, or that's how we're able to, finally complete the cycle of reincarnation. But so yeah, so I think that's one of the things that I came to understand. Like, okay, well, this is how I can help people, and I think I had this my whole life. Like in my own being. I was always really good at kind of helping people, like anywhere I was, like, oh, I went through this. Oh no, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Like, there's always like, this is the lesson, like the lesson is just like, oh, don't worry, or just have faith, having faith, or people trying to control their, whatever outcome of their lives. Oh, I want to do this. But then it's like, when you surrender, that's when actually things will come. If you try to control things, the outcome of things, you're kind of blocking it. So it's like, so if you understand the mechanics of how the universal laws work, then you're able to work with the universe, right? Because if you're able to then let go and surrender to the universe and not try to control the outcome of something, and you're kind of like, as long as you're always observers, as long as you're always coming from, a good place in your heart, your intentions, then everything will, it's your higher self bringing you and it's always your higher self in the fifth dimension that is bringing you all the experiences, from that, as the projector, right? The higher self is in the fifth dimension, sending like all this into the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is like all your lifetimes, like thousands of lifetimes. Because when I had my NDE, to when I was with the Council of Light, I became my higher self in the fifth dimension. And then I saw, as my higher self, I saw thousands of lifetimes in bubbles around me. And then I saw that in each one of those bubbles was like a lifetime. And I saw screens, and I was able to go into a couple of those lifetimes. So I quantum jump into some of those lifetimes. And, I was like, a Viking. I was a Native American in Mexico, a Maya in Mexico. I was an African American slave. I was a king. I was a warrior. I was a soldier. I mean, just everything. But I came to understand basically that in every lifetime, but there is like, although all lifetimes are happening simultaneously,
Yes.
there is some kind of, the way it was shown, like there is still like a linear progress. You see what I mean? Like, as every time you keep coming back in a way, it's seen from a dimension, like in the third dimension reincarnations, you keep coming back for the experiences to learn and to balance the karma and to balance the energies, right? The soul contracts. And then until you finally kind of like finish it. But at the same time, they're all happening at the same time. But at the same time, there is some kind of linear, so that you can record the evolution of it. How much have you learned? How much have you mastered the lessons? So so that's kind of like how I came to understand that basically.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about, well, again, we're just talking about the polarities. The masculine is the very linear polarity, and the feminine is the very non-linear polarity. And when both of those are in harmony with one another, that's where you're really transcending a lot of things. I Okay, so there's a couple things here. One, let's just quickly just jump back to the life lessons thing. I think it's really synchronistic that you're even talking about this with me, because literally 2 days ago, I had kind of like an Akashic healing clearing session, and it came through to get ready because my next year, 2025, was going to be a very powerful year of change, because I'm ready. I've gone through most of the lessons that I've needed to, I have completed. There's one I'm still working on, and they told me, and this is, I'm sharing this with the audience because I don't think
Yeah.
everyone understands all the different kind of lessons that are out there, but mine was intimate relationship. And so, which I'm currently working on. But I've noticed this person who I've been dating for a few months now, it's really bringing me to face many things that I didn't realize I still needed to face. And it's good. It's not bad, or I shouldn't say it's good. It's not bad or good. It's just, they're just lessons, right? But understanding what was shared was that the last, I guess, 4, 5, 6 years have been difficult because I chose to clear a lot of karma by going and just learning as much as I can, going through as many lessons as I can. And in a way, it wasn't just necessarily to get through something faster, which I don't even know if that's even the right way to put it, but to also, it was my way of clearing a lot of karma. So it was just interesting to kind of hear that. But I know that 2025 is bringing a massive year of change for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, 2025 is like, yeah, definitely. It's like, I mean, I think it's in many different levels, from systems collapsing, but then there's like, um, then there's like, I mean, okay, so from system collapses, and then from a lot of these institutions revealing all the good things. It's not just the bad things, but then there's like, oh yeah, all of a sudden we have the cure for cancer. All of a sudden we have the technology so that people can live 200 years, or all of a sudden we have technology so people don't have to age. Like there's going to be all these things coming out, and then so that's one part, and then the other part is the healing within the different people, and then there's the activation, right?
Yes.
The activation of our DNA, right? Our DNA strands start having more access to this
Well,
abilities. More and more people are going to start having these experiences, right?
that's what was communicated to me. They said, get ready, 2025, you're going to go through so many DNA upgrades that you have to make sure you put in days where you just sleep for the entire day. They're like, make sure that, and so I was being, I guess coached in a way through the Akashic Records, from my guides. They're like, to maybe rethink how I schedule things, because you're going to need days where you literally just sleep because of these activations that are coming in. And it's because of all, once you learn a lot of these lessons, you're then primed to go through really high upgrades, which obviously the physical body needs time and rest to catch up to all of the different energetics that are shifting and changing within you. So let me ask you this. You said you had six more cycles, that you saw you have six more cycles coming in, like of lifetimes.
And
Is
it's
that what
funny
you're
you mentioned
saying?
this too, because I'm sorry.
Sorry, I think there was like a little break in the connection there. You mentioned that you saw that you had six more cycles you needed to come through. Were you talking about six more lifetimes here?
Yeah, similar to lifetimes. Uh-huh.
Okay, so how did that make you feel? Because I know there's a lot of people in the audience that are like, I am certain this is my last lifetime on Earth. Like this has to be my last lifetime. Me personally, I don't. I'm very neutral about it. It doesn't
No,
matter to
no,
me.
no,
But
no.
yeah,
No, I think, it's kind of funny because even with, let's say even when I'm finished, like, let's say I'm done, you probably still keep coming back. You'll come back just because you'll be a guru or a teacher that you want to just keep coming back until you come to the point where you're like, okay, like, let me just go to the next dimension and the next realm. So but that's how it really works. I mean, the people that say, oh no, no, I'm not coming back, they're coming back. It's until you know that, what I mean? Like you'll know, like your higher self will show you like how many lifetimes you have left, and then, but the more, like it's that you'll want to come back. Like, I want to come back, like, oh my God, like, yeah, man, let's come back. And then it'll be basically until you're basically one with your higher self completely, that it's like, okay, I reached this level, and it's like, but you still will come, like a lot of people, I'm sure, like, even when they get to that level, they still come down, right? Because they still want to get able to teach more and more, and then comes to a point where you're like, feel like you're okay, you know, okay, I'm done, like, I've done enough, like, let's go to the next
yeah,
dimension.
yeah. Okay, so also let's talk about this quantum jumping you do. Quantum
Yeah, I
jumping
want
from
to
different
just,
timelines, because um
yeah.
like, okay, first of all, are you now at a point where you've been able to kind of master it more, where you can initiate it like consciously, or are you still like experiencing it where you're just, oh, like suddenly you're realizing you're there, like you're just doing it?
Yeah, I definitely, I'm a baby still. I'm crawling.
So,
No,
okay,
yeah, I mean,
so what have you learned? What are the top three things that you've learned from quantum jumping from different timelines?
yeah. So, I mean, I'm not able to do it at will, but definitely as far as like, I mean, I don't know, they just kind of happen spontaneously, or I have to be really like, in a meditative state that it can happen. And so then basically, from my experiences, it's like, again, it's like a point where you're like, first of all, like, I think my recommendation is like, it's like for people, it's like, remember, it's like non-attachments, like, and that's why I can kind of like teach as well with my workshops and stuff. It's like, if you want to be able to quantum jump, just remember the main thing is non-attachments.
I
Non-attachments.
couldn't agree with you more.
You know what I mean? Because if you start, because I quantum jump in some lifetimes, and again, the way I quantum jump is like I connect with my higher self, which, from my experience, is this being, higher being, which is in the fifth dimension. And so once I connect to my higher self in the fifth dimension, then I'm able to then in that space look down, and then in the fourth dimension, this kind of like where all the lifetimes are at, thousands of lifetimes in a circle. That's how I saw them, and that's how I explained to them. But then it's like all in these bubbles, right? And then from that point, then you can quantum jump. Then you can start quantum jumping to different lifetimes or parallel universes or timelines, right? It's kind of like the same thing. So, but like I've been into this, and when I quantum jump, like I travel like in a wormhole. I go from my higher self, and then I travel in a wormhole, and then I'll go into one of those bubbles, and as I go in there, I remember the first time it happened was incredible. So like, so as I went into the bubble, like as I walk into the bubble, imagine like the bubble is kind of like the earth, and I'm flying like a comet, and I'm flying through the planet, like, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I remember seeing the earth, and and then all of a sudden I see the land, and I'm like going into like Scandinavia to like Sweden, and I'm flying in like a comet. I'm just flying, and I'm like, this was the first time I quantum jump. And then I'm like seeing all these villages and all the nature, all the trees, and then all of a sudden I see this little village, this little house, and I'm going in there, and then as I go in there, I see this, I'm like, I'm just energy, and I'm like, and then I see this man with his children and his wife and everything, and then I go inside this guy, and it's a Viking, and he's like having this baby, and I'm like, what the? And but I'm inside him, and I'm like, God, and I see my wife and I see my other children, and then boom, and then I get pulled out, and then another life, another time, I'm like, I go into this, I'm an African American slave, and I go into this African American slave, and I'm chained, and I've been thrown out, and I'm like and again, it's just for like seconds, I don't know, like 5 seconds, and I'm like, oh my God, and then I come out again, and again, this is just Raphael going into those different avatars. And then I go into being a Maya, and then all of a sudden I go the same. It's kind of like going into this tunnel, and then I go into and I'm with this Maya in Mexico, doing rituals, and with the pyramids and all this stuff. And then I go to this other lifetime, and then I'm like a banker, and then I'm like a king, and then like I'm a soldier. I mean, just all these different lifetimes. And then, but again, what I came to realize that, and again, it's by stages, right? Because I mean, right now, that's like the first stage is like, and again, this is one of the things like for all the people that want to have these experiences. And then I teach also webinars on this stuff, but it's like this is the first stage. The first stage I would say is awareness, right? You can become aware that this is possible and this is real. And then the second one is like once you start having the experiences, okay, you will start having kind of like this small quantum jumps into your other avatars, and just like going through this, you go to that. But then if you want to go to the next stage, like the next level, because it's by levels, right? It's like if you say, I really want to go into that lifetime, and like for me, like I'm still at that stage where like, okay, I'm getting ready for the next stage, which is like, let's say I want to go into the future guy living in London. I want to go in there and I want to become him, and then I want to go explore the future, maybe for a week and then come back. but what I learned is the non-attachments, right? Because if I go in there in that lifetime and I have my kids, my wife, my children, I'm not going to want to come back to Raphael. You see what I'm saying? So,
No,
so
totally.
that's what I realized, that if you want to start quantum jumping is possible, and everybody can do it. Like it's not like just everybody can do it, really. It's just, but it's the non-attachments
No,
that
yeah, it was how the only time I've ever experienced a wormhole was, well, actually there's two times, but the first time was on ayahuasca. But the way I was able to do that with the plant medicine was I just completely surrendered. And it wasn't something that I had planned to be, I'll be very like, that was the other interesting thing was I didn't plan on just surrendering to go into my ayahuasca. It was one of those things where like, what's my intention? What's my intention? And then all of a sudden, as I sat with it, it was like the overwhelm of emotions of I'm so tired of trying to control everything. I don't want to control anything anymore. And I just gave up all control. And I said, I will go wherever you want me to go. And I said, I don't care if it's to the depths of hell or the high heavens, kind of so to speak. I go, wherever you want me to go, I'm going to go. I just don't want to control anymore. And that giving up, like that total surrender was like, I'm not attached. I'm not attached to it needing to be this. I'm not attached to it needing to be that. And that's why even like when I was in that experience and I came out of the place I like leaving the matrix and then kind of coming back, I was still in this very blissful state where I think I was kind of hovering both kind of realities, but I could hear everyone puking around me because they were purging in their journey. And I could just see they were purging all their programs. I remember just sitting there going, amazing. Like usually like the human Nicole would be so like, oh, I want to be there. I want to rub your back. I want to like do all these things like to make it better. And I was just like, good for you. Yeah, I keep purging those programs. And I was just sitting there in my happy, blissful state, like as if everything was just amazing, like, and there was no like, oh, I feel really bad for you, or I feel really great for you. Like it was just a really interesting state to be in, but also recognizing, and this is something that I've noticed for everyone and anyone that's had a major transformation through any of the work that I've done with them. The key is there's two keys. One is the surrender, total surrender. And two is being so open to receive whatever it is you're about to receive. You have to be fully open and willing to grow with whatever you're receiving, meaning it may be way more than what you currently are able to contain. Can you allow yourself to expand as you're receiving in the motion, like in the moment, I mean? So to me, those are like the two keys that I've experienced. But you're right. You got to have that non-attachment.
But yeah, like I say, because I tell people because like I lost, whatever people I meet or whatever, like, oh yeah, I want to see my other lifetimes. I'm like, man, you gotta be ready, man. This ain't like no joke. You know what I mean? Like this is like no joke. Especially like I say, it's the attachments. Or you're all of a sudden you're like a slave somewhere, and it's like, you kidding me? Like, you know what I mean? Or your family or whatever, your kids, your babies. Like, so they gotta understand that it's just a simulation. And if you are able to quantum jump, see those other lifetimes, like it's possible, but just be aware that it's like it's just don't be attached to those experiences as well, and ultimately to this one too, because that's the ultimate goal, right? Like I came to understand that once I finished the cycle of reincarnation, like the ultimate was the non-attachments. That was the ultimate goal, that letting go of all attachments, of all old programs, all this stuff. Like that was kind of like the ultimate, but yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's super exciting. Like if you start having these experiences, and more and more people are. And I believe, like, something I wanted to share because you were talking about the DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, I met this lady from Sweden, and she saw me in one of the podcasts. Took me, and then we did a session, and then she came to LA. She came to a Seal Beach here in LA. I mean, I'm in San Diego, but she came to LA, and she was saying that she was coming to close a portal, that because she was working with the grids, the earth grids, and that so we ended up talking about that. And I've seen the grids too, and I've seen the codes, so we were talking about the codes, kind of like you were talking about too, that you've seen them. So we were talking about the codes, and we were talking about the grids. And then I'm like, and I told her, yeah, I've seen the grids too, like around the earth. Like one of the times I remember having the earth all of a sudden appear in my hand, and then I had it in my hand, and I saw all the grids. And then I saw how all these grids were created by the sixth dimensional being, which created our planet. And then how it kind of said, it's a game, right? So then there's like, it says an algorithm, the whole matrix in the sixth dimension kind of set up an algorithm of ascension, of evolution of the souls, that once the certain soul, everybody gets there eventually, no exception, But then once some of those players, some of the souls get to that certain level, then you start having access to the algorithm more, then you start having access to, all of a sudden, then there's people like, like in these shows and everything, like you or other people. Okay, now you start having access to the grids. Now you become aware that the earth grids, and then you start becoming aware of the symbols. You see what I'm saying? So then anyway, so we met up with her, and she actually ended up closing she said that she closed a portal for the 2025, basically, so that we can basically start, and it's for the activation of the DNA. You see what I'm saying? So that's when you were talking about that. And it's like, yeah, the whole thing about that we are doing. And then I did it too. And so now I'm doing this on my meditations, and I'm starting to put something together as well, like a workshop. Is like, yeah, we're all programs, kind of like, we're all like, and then each one of us have a specific DNA or specific codes, kind of like in the movie The Matrix. We're all programs with specific codes or matrix codes, and then as we are able to put those codes into the matrix, into the grids, then we're able to activate it. So what we're doing right now is it's sending our codes into the grid, so it can help activate everyone in the planet. You see, so then we can start activating our DNA. So ultimately, we want to have a 12 DNA strand, right? With that, so that we can. The more activate DNA strands we'll have, the more people are going to have all these abilities. The more people are going to start having out-of-body experiences, astral traveling, eventually just teleporting or having access to to the codes, having access to the different dimensions, having access to parallel lives, having access to parallel universes. So yeah, so the more like we start getting activated, then the more we're going to start having it's and the activation is just more allowing more information from the higher dimensions to come into your avatar body. That's kind of how it works, I mean, from my experiences. So yeah, that we did that last week.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting you say that because the way I see it is like it's always there. It's always there. It's just a matter of access, right? And as one of the things that I've seen now is that I'm able to do, and it's just because now I'm just naturally being guided to do it. It's not like I'm thinking about it or whatever, is moving certain energy in my field, putting stuff over here, taking stuff away, getting it out, moving, pulling things in. Like, and so I've done this at even my healing retreats when people are in their journeys. I've had to stand over them. I start moving certain, and I'm just guided to start moving energies around to help them open up a little more, to create the space in the room for maybe opening up more energetics to flow in, things of that nature. And so the more that we do this work, and I think, again, like you said, I want to just even bring it back to this transparency is so important. So always be looking at what, like, allow yourself to look at the truths that you maybe don't realize you're not allowing yourself to see. Have full transparency within yourself. There are always going to be things that might shock you to some degree. And that's okay. That's okay. That just means, oh, wow, I was not allowing something to be seen, or maybe I just wasn't ready for it yet. But I think that that's a big part of all of this. And so constantly allowing yourself to be in a state of transparency. And I will say that I think that was one of the benefits of 2020. And even, I wasn't particularly happy with the results of the administration who's currently in and now leaving. But the blessing in disguise for me, and then I say this to anyone also who may not be happy with the upcoming administration coming in, because this is what I learned from myself, was to learn to not be so attached, okay, to who's in, and not think like, oh, because they're in, nothing good can happen. And what it taught me was to just look at what you need to look at in yourself. And I just started I turned off all the news. I turned off all, like, any kind of media. I just didn't care anymore. I didn't want to know about it. Not because I wanted to be oblivious to it, but because I really wanted to focus on me and what I can do in this world. Like, that's all I wanted. And so there was actually a really beautiful benefit that came out of that for me. And I'm grateful for it. And so there's always positives to find in anything that you may see as a negative in this world. It's just a matter of how you want to experience it or react to it. That's going to be your choice. But that is something that I think is important for all of us, is to know that all of these things are available to us. And the more that you go through your own journey of healing, revealing, and I want to say allowing yourself to completely surrender, then a lot of these things will just start showing up for you naturally.
yeah, and then too, like I remember seeing how the whole matrix works. Like I saw I mean, even I saw, like, because I've seen the different dimensions, but I saw how, like, the ninth dimension is like the creator of the universe. And then it was like I became that creator of the universe. I became a ninth dimensional being, or I became one. And then, as I became this ninth dimensional being, I was able to see the screen in front of me, and it was the universe. And then I was creating it, right? And then I saw how I was able to there was an algorithm of programs and codes, and then each code or each program was a soul basically. And then I saw how, as they were like learning their lesson or raising their frequencies, there was like, once he reached a certain level, the whole algorithm was like, it took him to the next level. It kind of like took it up to the next frequency, or to the next levels of information, or of abilities, or or knowledge, or whatever it is. But there was this kind of like, that is recording everything, like the frequency of every single soul across the universe is, there's like a gigantic, I mean, it's like, like this giant screen I mean, I just saw myself creating the universe, and then I saw all the souls and kind of where they were at. And there was this kind of like evolution of it. So they, once you reach the level, then okay, you go to the next dimension. And once you reach that level, then you go to the next dimension. And kind of like that. So it was kind of like 12 dimensions
Kind of
of
like
soul
the
evolution.
algorithm of ascension.
Yeah, the algorithm of ascension. Yeah, and then again, as you the more you went up, the more you start having access to more information, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, okay, this person's are, this level of consciousness, they can start having access to the grid works, to the grids and to the codes, and so then because you're at that level, right? And this is just, then there's levels that are way up here that they're talking, they're creating galaxies, and they're creating grids of the galaxies, and the grids of the universe, of the multi. I mean, those are other levels, right?
And I
But
would think too, like as you were you also seeing that within those algorithms, there were still possibilities to tap into, get in access briefly of other things, right? Like you can still get that brief access. I think that's designed that way so that it helps you to kind of move even higher. Like, so it wouldn't be that you have zero access. It's like that. I think that you have like these little blips that allow you to like you say, you briefly go into a body for 5 seconds and then you come back out and then you go into another lifetime for a few seconds. And so it's kind of like that as well, I would think, within the design.
yeah, exactly. And then like, I've been inside Adam, and I for a second, like, and then I was inside an animal, and then I was inside a tree, and then and then I became the creator of planets. I became a creator of stars. I became a creator of galaxies. Within the dimensions.
Yeah.
So for instance, and then I came to understand, whoa, that's kind of how it works. There's all these levels of dimensions that that ultimately we get to evolve, kind of like see like school, like there's like the next level, the next, and the next. And then I saw too how that at the center of the universe, there was like all these codes are sent. That's from the center of our universe. There's like the great central sun, that it was like how all this information are sent from the center into the galaxies, and then the galaxies send them to the stars, and then the stars send them into the earth, or to the earth grids, or then to the people, or to the different beings. And then I saw there was a massive explode when I lived in when I lived in England again, in Cambridge. I saw a massive explosion from the center of the universe. Like I went into the astral realm, and I saw this supernova explosion from the great central sun. And I remember I was like, and I just saw this wave. It was an energy wave. And I remember as I was in the astral realm, I remember hearing the sound, it was like, and it was like, I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, it's coming towards us. And I mean, it was a good thing. It's not like it's going to kill us, but I came to understand that all that wave of energy, supermassive explosion from the center of the universe, was to send codes and information to help us ascend. And then I knew that I knew that 2020, like this was 2015, 16, and then I knew that by 2020 it was going to be the beginning of kind of like those codes coming down to earth, like to kind of like help it ascend into the fourth dimension. And then that's when COVID hit, right? And then now it's 2024, and 2025 is like there's even more that is coming down. So all those codes from the center of the universe, that's where we're receiving, and it comes down in different forms, like from people awakening to having disabilities, for information, for new technologies, for new systems. You see what I'm saying? Like it comes down in different ways. If different avatars will get them in different ways, from someone coming up with an idea for a new political system, from someone coming up with a new technology for AI, from someone, cracking down the system, from someone teaching all these teachings that we're teaching, like us, So then it comes in different forms. So we're all antennas, and we all have a different kind of like a role in this divine plan to kind of like help ascend to the fourth dimension. So that was also something that I thought was fascinating as I saw this explosion from supernova, and then I knew like, wow, man, this is incredible. Like it's gonna help raise the frequency of, and then like as we are entering this fourth dimension, this whole everything like string theory, parallel universe theory, simulation theory, block universe theory, all these theories are about to be proven scientifically, like within the next 10 years. So probably, like, so like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we're parallel universe is true. String theory, like all the dimensions, yeah, that's true. So our reality is going to completely shift into this new reality. Like, oh yeah, we're living different dimensions. Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, the earth is round. Yeah, of course. So like, I mean, that's so cool. For me, it's like, wow, welcome to 4D, like, it's like, yeah, we're living different dimensions. And then more and more people are going to be talking about the dimensions, like people are going to start having access and experiences. Like, I feel like for me, I'm just scratching the surface from, exploring the dimensions and all this. I mean, I'm just like scratching the surface. I'm sure there's going to be there's a lot of old souls coming in right now because since the system's about to crack, then there's all these new teachings and all these are going to be coming up. There's going to be a lot of people, explaining even the dimensions way more. But yeah, that'll be a new reality. Like, yeah, there's different dimensions, parallel universe. Yeah, we live in different universes or parallel universe theory will prove reincarnation. You see, like, yeah, this, of course. So then that's true. And then, yeah, I mean, the whole thing with the block universe theory, that's true as well. Like, yeah, past, present, and future is coexisting at the same time. Right? And then, simulation theory, that's going to be proven as well, too. I mean, in one way, you say, yeah, it's real, but in one way, yeah, it's a simulation, and then
Yep.
more and more people are going to talk about the codes, like we're talking about the codes, but, then there's going to be like linguistic codes, like people that are going to be able to really understand the codes more. And then there, the grid workers, there's a lot of that right now as well, right? And I actually want to make a movie with my wife called Grid Workers.
Oh,
But
cool.
we need investors or we need film producers, man. We got some incredible ideas.
Yeah, well, let me give you this opportunity then just to kind of share one where people can find you. And also, if there's anything you need help with, just kind of shout it out right now. Maybe you'll find someone in my audience who can help you.
Yeah, I mean, like we would love to create like basically the movie for sure. I mean, that's something we just came up with, but after so it's like we want to create a movie. I mean, a couple movies actually, but one of them will be about grid workers, and then talk about basically if there's an film producer out there or someone in the film, please contact me and contact us, and that way we can make this movie, because it's all about grid workers and the codes and the lead lines, and that's how this is going to activate everybody, and so it's like creating movies, documentaries. I'd like to create a documentary too about consciousness and quantum physics, how it's merging, and then maybe interview a couple of different people and in the science community, and then people having NDEs, out of body experiences, and then we want to create apps as well. So anybody that's doing apps out there or creating apps or anything like that, there's so many apps that we want to create about grid working, about soul lessons and all this stuff, and then I teach webinars as well. So in my website's Decoding Life Lessons. www.decodinglifelessons.com. And then the project Utopia 2025, that's the other one I'm doing with my wife too, with where we're bringing about new systems that what I saw from the Akashic Records. We're basically we're going to be doing webinars on that too, and then we are going to be we want to be able to just bring more people in, right? Like there's people that I do. Maybe we can create a new system, and then that in politics, a new system in economics, and then that way we can put it out more into the world, and then create apps from that too. Like it'd be incredible to create an app that everyone is like connected to, like or jobs of the future or politics of the future. So for everybody to vote on what would be the best system for that's the other thing too. Like we would like for the people to vote and tell us what they want, right? And then something like that, so that we can want to be able to bring people together and create a better system, and then go to start connecting, networking with different people, to create a utopic world, So, but yeah, we're definitely teaching this kind of webinars, but yeah, we're looking for film producers and this stuff. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Well, anyone out there who believes that they might be able to help Raphael in any way, shape, or form, or you're just really interested and you want to somehow be part of the movement, definitely check him out, decodinglifelessons.com or Project Utopia 2025. Raphael, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I love the conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And of course, if you did, please share with your family and friends or anyone who you think may benefit from knowing this information. Guys, I love you so much. Have an incredible week, and I will see you next time. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.